Hello guys and welcome to my new video. There are several ways to build an Amber Steel deck and I'm gonna show you 3 different directions you can go with your Amber Steel build in set 10 Whispers in the Well. But before we dive into the video, don't forget to subscribe for more Lorcana content dropped every week. And now, have fun, let's go! We're starting off the video with Amber Steel Aggro, and I think this is the most common build from Amber Steel since like the last couple sets, and I haven't changed much from my initial week 1 build. I just added 2 more Rajas to the mix because I found Raja is such a good card. If your opener is like Aurora into Tiana into Raja, then Sing Strength the Raging Fire and dropping 2 more characters with Lady for example, you're basically on the winning road already. So Raja is really important because he's a bodyguard with 4 health, 3 strength, he fights back and he trades into a lot of characters, and as I said, he also can sing strength of a Raging Fire himself. That makes him so good. Other than that, the shell of Amber Steel Aggro is still strong. It's a good deck to pick up. It's an aggro deck and usually your game plan is to get lore as quickly as possible. Sometimes you just have to play the patience game, but I think everyone picking up Amber Steel these days know how to play this deck because it's rather easy to pick up and to play, and I really like it into most of the decks out there. Yeah, into blue decks it's really strong actually because they usually don't do much the first 2 or 3 turns and you can slowly build up your board. And another card really shining in this build is Mowgli, because you can rip the combo pieces your opponent holds in hand, like Malicious, Mean and Scary or Spooky Side. So Mowgli as a 4-off is really good, especially in turn 3. If you drop him for free with Lady, you can usually like rip those combo pieces your opponent holds in his hand. And also on the play, if you don't have another turn 2 play, on the play in turn 2, dropping a Mowgli against a blue deck, you might rip the Sail the Azure Sea from their hands, and then they don't have a ramp in turn 2, which is crucial to their own game plan, and it's so disruptive. Other than that, I think we all know the build, the shell of this Amber Steel deck. You can like flex a couple cards, but I think the core of the 55, 56 cards is pretty much the same in every build. I only run 2 copies of Fire the Cannons here because I found it, yeah, like sometimes too clunky and you don't always want to top deck a Fire the Cannons later in the game. If the game goes on longer, then you want to drop more characters that can possibly quest for 2 or even 3 if you find a Nala later in the game. So this is my Amber Steel Aggro build. I'm really enjoying it so far over the last couple days. I've been testing all the 3 decks I'm gonna show you in this video today, and they all have their strength, they all have their weaknesses, and they're all fun. And this is, for me personally, one of the most important things right now because I don't have time to go into the store, play competitively, so I have to enjoy what I play online and test at home with my girlfriend. So I pick up decks, they're fun, and if you want to build this deck, you will find a link in the video description below. And I keep the deck link updated with every change I make. You will also find some notes to see which cards I've changed and the reason behind. So check out the video description, follow the link, and we go on to the next Amber Steel build I prepared for you today. Circle of Life Amber Steel, and most people only know Circle of Life from the Amber Emerald builds, but I've been really enjoying this color combo with Circle of Life the last couple days when I've tested online. The idea behind is to like drop your big bodies into your discard pile and then establish some singer characters on board, sing Circle of Life and play them for free from your discard. And looking at the top end cards from this deck, they are huge and they are strong. We have Namari, we have Goliath as one of the primary card draw engines, we have Tinkerbell, we have 3 copies of Surfer Stitch, drawing us more cards. We have 3 copies of Vincenzo Santorini, dealing 3 damage when you play him, and he has a huge body as well, 2 strength, 8 willpower, and he quests for 3. And for the gambling aspect in this deck, I included 2 copies of the Headless Horseman. I already went over his ability in one of my other videos, but if you play him, every player draws 3 cards and then randomly discards 3 cards from his hand. And for every action or song card discarded this way, you can deal 2 damage to an opposing character. So this card is pretty much here to disrupt opposing game plans, because with some singers established on board, you can sing Circle of Life the earliest in turn 4 and drop your Headless Horseman, and then just disrupt your enemy's game plan pretty much, and yeah, like shake his hand cut through. And I really like the gambling aspect of this card. I really love the card, and I'm toying around with like a 3rd copy of it because I like the Headless Horseman so much. And yeah, it's fun. There are several lines or ways you can start into this game. One line would be going Mulan, filtering through your hand cards and already dropping a big character into your discard, then establishing a Troubadour in turn 2. And then you can go either Raja or David Xanatos in turn 3. Raja is a bodyguard, I already talked about him, but David Xanatos is new. He's a 3-cost inkable character, 3 strength, 2 willpower, quest for 1. When you play him, you can discard one of your hand cards to deal 2 damage to a chosen character. So sometimes you up against green-blue decks, for example, and on the play, the only thing they have on board in turn 3 is a small Clarabelle. So you can drop your David Xanatos, discard one of your big bodies, and deal 2 damage to that small Clarabelle to get rid of her. And in turn 4, you already have enough character strength to sing together Circle of Life and bring one of your big bodies on board and use the ink for something else. This is one line I'm really enjoying, and the other one is going Pluto as a 1-drop, using his ability to drop a Raja in turn 2 and protecting your Pluto. And then in turn 3, you use Pluto's ability again to drop an Amber Mickey Champion, and with Mickey Champion on board, all your other Amber characters gain 2 more willpower, and if you have like 2 more Amber characters in play, your Mickey Champion is Singer 8, so you can sing Circle of Life on his own, which is pretty nuts actually. So you don't have many cards in your discard pile at this point, but you can follow up with a David Xanatos, you can follow up with a Mulan or whatever. This is really strong. So I really like the lines you can go with this deck, and the top end is such power horses. I have to say power horses because we have the Headless Horseman in this deck, and having Namari in the deck is also, you can filter through your hand cards at the start of your turn, drop the big bodies, and then sing Circle of Life with her or with the other characters on board. And Goliath is here for like all those decks drawing multiple cards in a turn. He's like limiting this, because at the end of your turn or each player's turn, you have to discard down to 2, or if you have less than 2 cards in your hand, you can draw up, so you have 2 cards in hand. Overall, I've been really enjoying this build. Of course, it's only fun when it works, but it's also fun just to play it and like to gamble, to try to get out the Circle of Life. And we also run some removals in this build, of course. 4 copies Strength of Raging Fire, 2 copies of the new Steelsong, dealing 4 damage, and 2 copies of Beyond the Horizon to disrupt your opponent's game plan even more, so you can discard his whole hand. He's drawing 3 new cards, or you use it for yourself to draw 3 new cards if you don't have any hand cards left into your hand. And sometimes against blue decks, they drop an early Spooky because you couldn't discard it from their hand, or like, yeah, whatever, you can't block it with Pete. And then you get enough ink to play your big bodies with ink later in the game. So far this build is really fun, it's really cool. If you want to copy it, of course you will find a link in the video description below. Test it out yourself, you will enjoy it, I promise you that. And we have a look at the third way to play Amber Steel in set 10. Steelsong is back. Yes, it is, kind of. I tested this like more control-ish mid-range Steelsong build and I'm really enjoying it. It reminds me somehow of the good old Steelsong days. Going through the list, let's have a look at the 1-drops. We have Aurora, of course, because there are some princesses in the deck. You can cheat out 1 turn earlier. If you're on the draw or even on the play, Captain Hook comes in handy because he can challenge and sometimes you just need to fight back. And of course, I also included the Rhino Shift package because sometimes it's just too good to have a ready Singer 4 in turn 2 to remove like a Daisy or something like that. Or get rid of something else in turn 2 already to sing Strength or Raging Fire, for example. I don't know, but Rhino in turn 2 shifted is still a strong play. We have Doc as card draw because sometimes this deck lacks card draw if you don't find your songs, if you can't establish Ariel on board. Doc is still a good card to draw you some. And of course we have Mowgli to rip action and song cards from your opponent's hands, and we have Troubadour as a 2-cost Singer 4. And on the 3-drop slot I added 4 copies of Aurora. She's a princess, as I mentioned earlier, 3-cost inkable character, 1 strength, 4 health, quest for 2. She's Singer 5, which is pretty good actually if you can bring her out with Aurora and drop the other Aurora in turn 2 with only 2 ink. You have a Singer 5 on board established already, and then you could go Pete in turn 3, so your opponent doesn't have any ways with actions to remove your characters and start singing songs in the next turn. Going into the 4-drop slot, I added 4 copies of the new Whisper Ariel inkable character. She quests for 2, she has boost 1, so once per turn you can pay 1 ink to get a card under her, and whenever you play a song, whenever you play a song once per turn, if she's a card under her, you can draw a card. So this is pretty strong also. She's a princess, so you can bring her out in turn 3 already and start having payoff of the new Whisper Ariel in turn 4 already. So my favorite line was like going Aurora into Troubadour and then just waiting with Aurora, and in turn 3 dropping the new Ariel, and in turn 4 boosting Ariel, singing a song with Troubadour and drawing cards. This is pretty strong opening actually, and some of the best you can do with this deck. Of course, as I mentioned already, the Rhino for shift potential, and against steel decks he is still a powerhouse because of his resist 2 when he's undamaged. And I also added 3 copies of Ariel Sonic Warrior, 3 strength, 8 willpower, quests for 2. You can shift her with 4 ink on the Whisper Ariel if you need to. But other than that, if you're up against blue decks, there's no worries. You can pay the ink for her. And every time you play a song, you can pay 2 ink to deal 3 damage to a chosen character, which can be really good. If you don't have enough damage output with your songs, you can still pay up 2 more ink and deal even more damage to the opposing character. And sometimes this is needed because there are so many huge bodies in the game right now. And talking about removal songs, we have plenty. We have 4 copies of Strength of a Raging Fire. We all know the song, we all love him, but you need characters on board to profit from the song. And if you're facing a deck with a lot of huge bodies, we have 4 copies of World's Greatest Criminal Mind, which comes in handy against all those Gargoyles characters, against Clarabelle, for example, against the new Ruby Hercules, which has been played in Ruby Amethyst lately. And there are many other characters like Maui Shark, if he ever comes back from his early retirement. No one is playing Shark anymore, but still, World's Greatest Criminal Mind is still a good card, and it came in handy in so many games against all those big bodies running around. And we have 4 copies of the new Zeus song, dealing 4 damage to chosen character. And for some other songs, we have 3 copies of Beyond the Horizon, which can work as card draw for you, or you just disrupt your opponent's game plan. So you let him discard his hand, and then he can throw out 3 new cards, which is pretty much often the only thing you needed to win the game, because like some decks rely on combo pieces like green-blue with Prince Philip combo, and other decks that rely on combo pieces they need or characters they want to drop in the following turn, and then you just discard them the entire hand, which can be really, really backbreaking to your opponent. And I also added 2 cards of this family because I found sometimes, as I said, card draw is an issue, and if you already have enough singers established on board, you can dig through the top cards of your deck and grab 2 characters you need in this movement. So for example, I had games where I needed a Pete or a Mowgli to stop the enemy from playing an action or a song, and with this family I found it, and I could use the ink for Mowgli or for Pete to block actions, or like discard the action or song from the opponent's hand, which came in clutch, and this basically won me the game. I run 17 songs in this classic steel song control build, and I wish there would be another song dealing damage, like worth to play, like dealing 2 damage or whatever, like Let the Storm Rage On back in the old days, which was a really, really strong song package with Strang the Raging Fire, Let the Storm Rage On, and Zeus. But you have to work with what's there in the game right now, and I found this build really interesting. I'm still, after like 20-25 games, on a positive win rate, like I don't know, a 60-65% win rate, which is not awesome, but I keep on running into strong meta decks, which is a good test actually. But I tested against so many purple steel builds, and I kind of surprised them with Mowgli, with Pete, and yeah, and won so many games against purple steel builds. Maybe this is a way to build Steel Song in set 10 and win against the strongest deck out there. If you like the build, look at the video description. There you will find a link, and I will constantly work on the Steel Song deck because my girlfriend also enjoying Steel Song since ever, and I want to pursue the dream Steel Song coming back. Maybe not in the oppressive way it was before rotation, but I think there is something there, and I want to follow into more Steel Song this set. And yeah, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. The plan is to release a gameplay video with one of the Steel Song builds in this video at the end of the week, up against my newest version of Red Purple I've been toying around with the last couple days. Also, if you're new to the channel, I'm always happy about new viewers, so if you made it up to this point in the video, click on subscribe. I'm happy to have you here. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Flokki.